They told us the future of music was in the bedroom. All you needed was a computer, an interface, and the creative talent in order to create music. But what really happened? Where's the innovation? Where are the hits that are supposedly coming out of all these bedroom studios? Stay tuned, we're going to talk about it. Now, I know because I was around in the early 2000s. I was at the height of my production work. Actually, from the period of 1990 until the early 2000s, I was really well into production. And we were being told at that time that DAWs were the future. There was a lot of hype around plugins. There were a lot of YouTube tutorials. The thing was really being driven by this culture that was building up, saying that, hey, we finally found the freedom in order to create music in an environment at home that's more economically conducive to making music, as well as anyone can make a hit from their bedroom became the rallying cry. Now, one thing that did occur was gear did get cheaper, and music got cheaper to produce. But the end results, the quality, in my opinion, actually kind of went down. Now, the first time that I came across a DAW was a very, very early version of Pro Tools that we were given to use when we were doing mixes for Motown at the studio that I worked at. And Jock Richmond and I, my producer friend at that time, we were working together, were probably one of the first people to use a DAW software in order to do a remix on a song. It was a song for Rosie Gaines. She was a singer that worked with Prince for a while, and she came out with her own album on Motown, and we did some remixes for that. And on a song called I Want You. And that was the first time that I came across and had to learn from scratch how to use a DAW and sync it up to the quarters that we were using at the time. And the promise that this held for the future at that time felt good. It felt like, hey, this is another tool in the arsenal in order to make music a little bit easier to produce outside of the big studio, as well as also a great tool for editing. Well, fast forward to today, where everybody is releasing, a track a day. And there's an oversaturation as a result of this liberalization of the recording market, let's just put it that way. And as a result of that oversaturation, the value of music intrinsically has declined as well. So this oversaturation ended up driving down the cost of music. The cost to produce it went down, but the cost of itself intrinsically, once you produce that track, went down drastically. Even myself, producing commercial music for ads, I saw a decline in what they were willing to pay me as well to produce original music. Why pay me now when they can have AI do it for virtually nothing? Well, the cost of a computer. Now, when I was in the big studios, the big yardstick, the guy who stood in the corner and made you work as efficiently as possible was the clock, because you were paying a lot of money per hour to be in that studio, especially if you were engineering it yourself and you had to pay an engineer. So the clock kept things moving in the studio. You had 20 hours in order to produce X amount of music, and you wanted to stick to that clock. Now, fast forward to today, when you have endless amount of time, you have endless plugins, you have all these choices. I submit that actually it can be a little bit detrimental to the creative process as well. And also, one of the big illusions of independence is that, well, I'm not signed to a label, so I'm not under any pressure. Well, the record label used to be your taskmaster in that situation. They used to say, hey, you didn't sell, enough units, so we're going to drop you from the label. Well, if you're independent, you're not going to drop yourself. But what is the new taskmaster is algorithms. How many people are watching your social media feeds? How many people are engaging in your albums on Spotify, for example? And if you're not meeting the criteria of Spotify for the amount of engagement that they think that you should have, guess what? You get dropped. Just like the old labels used to do. This illusion of independence is really an illusion. The reality is that it's just switched over to a different taskmaster. It moved over to a new and faceless taskmaster who, by the way, at least with the label, you had your A&R guy that you could call up. Who are you going to call at Spotify? Now, the people I think that are on the right track to make great music are those who record with limitations. As a matter of fact, they set limitations on themselves. Maybe the future is therefore not what's in your bedroom or what you're doing in your bedroom, but rather getting out of it. Live performance, collaborations, live stream with an engaged audience as well are making a comeback. So at the end of the day, it really comes down to you don't need new equipment. What you need is a reason to record. And I think that at the end of the day, that's the basic goal that we should all be looking for. We should be looking for reasons to hit record, not for new equipment. I think that that's where the creative process really begins. It doesn't start with the gear. It never did, whether you were in the big studios or if you moved to, or if you started out in a bedroom studio. Either way, it's finding a reason to hit record that starts the creative process. Not a new plug-in, not a new guitar, not a new drum machine, none of that. Not a DAW, not a computer, not even a big studio. It's because you can walk into a big studio and draw a complete blank. You don't want to have that happen, especially if you're paying $500 an hour, but it happens. And so, again, you need a reason to hit record. Now, I talked about taskmasters, and how I think that the bedroom environment has actually been detrimental. But remember that the bedroom is not the enemy. It's a comfort zone. And no great album was ever made in a comfort zone. So think about actually getting out of the bedroom, moving into, again, like I said, live performances, collabs with people that you could do. A lot of great ideas of ways of getting out of your shell, moving out of that plug-in, paradise that you've set up for yourself, and actually try to seek people in order to make real music, meaningful, real music. Speaking of algorithms, it really helps with the YouTube algorithm if you hit the like button. So do that for me, please. If you really like what you saw today, take the time to hit the subscription button and join this wonderful group of people that we have subscribed to this channel over here. We'd love to have you join in. And until the next one, you guys take care. Bye-bye.